Good day to all of you. Once again, this is your teacher Daniel, and today, pag-aaralan naman natin kung paano mag-factor ng mga polynomials which follows the pattern of a perfect square trinomial. Yan. Pero bago muna yan, balikan muna natin yung mga previous lessons nyo from your previous grade levels. In this case, we will try to evaluate the square of a binomial 3x minus 4. So what is the square of the binomial 3x minus 4 squared? That is also the same as 3x minus 4 times the quantity 3x minus 4. We can evaluate that using distributive property, So from our previous videos, shinare ko na sa inyo kung paano ginagawa yung distributive property. So that is the same as 3x times 3x, iniisa-isa natin, So that is 9x squared. 3x times negative 4, that is negative 12x. And then negative 4 times 3x, that is also negative 12x. And then negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. Then let us evaluate the middle term because they are like terms. So that is 9x squared minus 24x plus 16. Okay, we can also make use of the FOIL method. So if you have 3x minus 4 times itself multiplied by itself, 3x minus 4, ang ginagawa natin dati nito para mabilis yung pag-multiply natin, we square the first term, that is 9x squared. We square the last term. It only happens if you are squaring a binomial. We are squaring a binomial. So square the first term, square the last term, which is positive 16, and then evaluate the inside term, which is the inside term is negative 12x, and evaluate the outside term, which is also negative, let's evaluate the outside term, which is also negative 12x, and then add the inside and outside term. So that will be negative 24x. So therefore, the product will be 9x squared minus 24x plus 16. Ayan. So yun yung ginagawa natin nung previous grade levels. if we want to square a binomial, we can also make use of square product square. So paano ginagawa yung product square? Ito na siguro yung pinaka shortcut din, isa sa mga pinakamadaling shortcuts na ginagawa natin whenever we square a binomial. Square product square. So paano ginagawa yan? Let's say you have 3x minus 4 squared. Square the first term, that will be 9x squared. Square the last term, that will be positive 16. And then we are going to multiply 3x negative 4 and 2. So that will be 2. Ito yun, 2, then times 3 times 4 times x. So that will be 9x squared minus 2 times 3 is 6 times 4 That is 24. So that will be 24x plus 16. So whenever we are using this kind of technique, this square product technique, lagi tayong may constant na 2. Ayan, no? May lagi tayong may constant na 2. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan, ha? Yung na may lagi tayong constant na 2 whenever we are multiplying 3x minus 4 by itself, or whenever we are squaring binomials. So let's try this. Let us try to what is this? Let us try to discover kung ano yung magiging rule natin sa factoring using the concept na natutunan natin in products. So if we would like to square the binomial x plus y, so x plus y, what is the square of x plus y? So again, using or employing the last technique that we have, itong square product square, employing that technique, all we have to do is to square the first term, x squared, square the last term, y squared, positive, y positive kasi positive y times positive y is positive y squared. And then we are going to multiply 2x and y. Okay, gusto ko lang ipaalala, no? Ang nangyayari lang tong ganitong technique na minumultiply natin by 2, by x and y, minumultiply natin silang tatlo. Dito lang yan nangyayari sa squaring a binomial. Okay? And it doesn't apply to all technique. Kaya natin siya minultiply by 2 ay para hindi lang natin makalimutan yung process or yung technique mismo, yung method na ginagamit natin. Just to simplify everything. Okay? Again, it doesn't apply to cube of a binomial. No, it doesn't apply to that. Instead, we are using a technique, a shortcut method. So para hindi natin makalimutan, that is 2, then 2, then x, multiply it by x, and multiply it by y. Ganun lang. And then, what will be the sign of the middle term? The sign of the middle term will depend on the sign of the binomial itself, that is positive. So, if that is positive, pag positive to, positive din dito. Ayan. So, that will be ayan na. So, that would be x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. O, subukan na naman natin yung isa. What is the square of the quantity x minus y squared? Again, get the square of the first term, that is x squared. Get the square of the last term, which is positive y squared, because negative times negative is positive. So, therefore, negative y times negative y is positive y squared. Ano yung magiging sign ng middle term? Since nakikita nyo, negative yung operation ng binomial, so, ang magiging sign ng middle term natin is also negative. And then, multiply everything. Take note, it only happens to squaring a binomial, ha? Huwag nyo gamitin sa ibang technique to. That is simply a shortcut para hindi natin nakakalimutan yung method 2 times x times y. So therefore, you can also make use of FOIL method, you can also make use of distributive property, but just to simplify everything, so we multiply 2, then x, and then negative y. So that is negative 2xy. So ito na ngayon yung pinaka-shortcut method natin. Simply, since ang pag-aaralan natin is factoring, babaliktarin lang natin. In the same manner, what is the factor of x squared minus 2xy plus y squared? What is the... Ito yun, ha? Ito yun. What is the factor of x squared minus 2xy plus y squared. That is simply the quantity x minus y squared. Baliktad yung process natin kasi magpa-factoring na po tayo. In the same manner, what is the factor of x squared plus 2xy plus y squared? The factor of x squared plus 2xy plus y squared is the square of a binomial x plus y. Yan. So, ang tawag natin dito sa mga ganitong expressions, ang tawag natin dyan is perfect square trinomials. Makikilala natin ng mabuti kung perfect square trinomial siya, basta it follows this pattern. And take note of the constant 2. Lagi siyang may constant na 2 sa gitna. So, let us have few more examples. Let's say, we have the expression x squared minus 6x plus 9. So, paano natin to if-factor? Using the technique or the pattern which we were able to arrive earlier, yung para sa perfect square trinomial. Una, kailangan na-check muna natin kung perfect square nga ba siya or kung perfect square trinomial nga ba siya. Pag na-check na natin kung perfect square siya, tsaka lang natin i-employ yung technique wherein we square the first term, we get the square root, we get the square root of the first term and the square root of the last term. So let us try. Let's say you have x squared minus 6x plus 9. So, para ma-check natin kung perfect square siya, all we have to do is to get the square root of the first term. The square root of the first term is x. The square root of the last term is 3. Pag nakuha na natin yung square root ng first and last term, check natin kung it follows the middle term whenever we multiply it by a constant 2. Kasi pinakita ko sa inyo kanina na may constant 2 siya, di ba? So in this case, the product of 3 times 2 times x is 6x. So yan. O yan. Pag na-check nyo na, kung pareho yung magiging kalalabasan, yung roots ng first and last term times 2 at saka nung middle term, therefore, we can conclude na etong expression na to is a perfect square trinomial. Okay. Pag na-check na natin kung perfect square siya, yun na yung pinakamadaling process, yung magpa-factor na tayo. Pinakamadaling method na or pinakamadaling step na, ipa-factor na lang natin siya. Again, the square root of x squared is x. The square root of the last term is 3. And ang magiging operation ng binomial, we will follow kung ano yung operation sa middle term or kung ano yung sign sa middle term. Since yung sign sa middle term is negative, so gagawin natin na magiging operation ng binomial natin is also negative, and that will be squared. Ganun lang kasimple. Okay, so let us have few more examples. Let's say we have 1 over 9v squared plus 2 over 15vc plus 1 over 25c squared. Ano kaya yung magiging factor nito? So, ang gagawin muna natin, una, kunin muna natin yung square root ng first term at saka ng last term. And then, i-check natin later on kung perfect square nga ba siya. That is, kung i-multiply natin yung roots times 2. Okay, so subukan natin. The square root of 1 over 9 v squared. So what is the square root of 1 over 9 v squared? That is the same as square root of 1 over the square root of 9 times the square root of v squared. That is also the same as, so what will be the square root of 1? The square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 9 is 3. And the square root of v squared, cancel this out, is v. How about 1 over 25c squared? What is the square root of 1 over 25c squared? That is also the same as the square root of 1 over the square root of 25 times the square root of c squared. So, in this case, pwede natin kunin yung mga individual square roots o yung square root ng bawat components for as long as yung operation between those components is either division or multiplication. So, what will be the square root of 1? The square root of 1 is just 1. The square root of 25 is 5. And the square root of c squared, we'll just cancel this out because di-divide lang naman yan sa 2. That is c. Now that we have the square roots, may mga roots na tayo, gagawin natin, i-multiply natin to lahat sila times 2. That is also the same as 2 times ito 1/3 times ito 1/5 or 1/5 times ito at saka ito VC. So what do you think is the product? Again, 2 here has an invincible denominator of 1. No need to write that. So, numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator, 2 times 1 times 1, that is 2. 3 times 5 is 15 VC. O, check natin kung ito nga yung middle term natin. O, yan. So, yun nga talaga yung middle term natin. Pag nagawa na natin yan, pag na-check na natin yung ating polynomial in that manner, now, that's the only time that we could use the technique, because we are now pretty much sure na etong expression na to is a perfect square trinomial. Okay, since we are now sure na perfect square trinomial na siya, ang pinakamadaling gawin na lang is ifa-factor natin siya. So what will be the factor of this polynomial? The factor is, again, square root of the first term, which is 1/3. We're going to enclose that in the parentheses. V plus, bakit plus? Kasi yung operation sa middle term, ito, is positive or plus. Kaya yung magiging operation in the binomial, between the terms in the binomial, is also plus. Then what is the square root of 1/25? 1/5 C, and then square the quantity. So, pag meron ka ng ganito, all we have to do now is to expand the expression. So, that is also the same as 1/3 V plus 1/5 C times by itself. That is also the same as 1/3 V plus 1/5 C. Okay. So, the factor of 1/9 V squared plus 2/15 VC plus 1/25 C squared is the quantity 1/3 V plus 1/5 C squared, or the quantity 1/3 V plus 1/5 C multiplied by itself. Let us have another example. Let's say we're going to factor this quantity or these polynomials. Okay, so first, syempre kakabahan ka kasi ang haba ng problem. Bago mo isipin na mahaba yung problem, tingnan mo yung bawat components. At kung ano yung magiging kung ano yung property ng bawat component. So, yung unang term is squared. Yung pangalawang term is squared. So, it gives us a hint. It gives us a clue na baka perfect square to. So, ang gagawin natin, i-check na lang natin yung middle term. So, paano gagawin? Kukunin natin yung square root ng first term. So, what is the square root of the quantity a minus b squared? The square root is just a minus b. How about the last term? What is the square root of the last term? The quantity a plus b squared. The square root is also a plus b. How did it happen? Di-divide lang natin yan sa 2, yung kanyang mga exponents. Now, we're going to multiply these two roots times 2. So, that will be 2 times a minus b times a plus b. At titingnan natin kung yun yung kalalabasan ng middle term. In this case, wow, wala ba kayo napapansin? Etong term na to, di ba, pinag-aaralan na po natin to. This pertains to the sum and the product of the sum and difference of two binomials, which if you're going to evaluate its product, it will result to the difference of two squares. So therefore, the product will be 2 times a squared minus b squared. O, tingnan natin kung yun na yung middle term. Okay, so siya yung middle term. Therefore, kung yun na yung middle term, we are pretty much sure na itong buong expression na to is a perfect square trinomial. Ito yung kailangang lagi-lagi nating gagawin. Always double check, triple check kung perfect square trinomial siya bago natin gamitin yung technique para sa perfect square trinomial. Okay? So, again, the square root of the first term is, gagamit tayo ng bracket this time kasi meron tayong mga parentheses. So, the square root of the first term is a minus b. The square root of the last term is a plus b. The operation in between the terms in the binomial would be, syempre, kung ano yung operation sa middle term, eto, yun din yung magiging operation sa binomial natin. So that is also positive and then squared. Now, let us further evaluate this expression. Kasi tingnan nyo, kung mapapansin nyo po, we can remove the grouping symbols. Ayan. So, let's say, we have to remove the grouping symbols. In this case, we don't have to use the distributive property for this operation kasi positive naman siya. So, safe na tanggalin yung ating mga grouping symbol. That is also the same as a minus b plus a plus b. And don't forget that is squared. So that is also the same as in this case, tingnan natin kung meron siyang mga similar terms. So a plus a is 2a, and negative b plus b, negative 1 plus 1 is just 0 times b is 0. Since it is 0, we'll just cancel it out. So you have 2a squared. Don't forget, may squared pa tayo. And 2 times 2 is 4. Then a squared. Ayan. So, tingnan nyo kanina, no? Ang haba-haba nung polynomials natin. not knowing na ito lang pala yung value niya. So sometimes yung factoring nakakatulong rin in simplifying expressions, ano? Now, let us have one last example. This time, yung concept natin about perfect square trinomial, gagamitan natin ng factoring by grouping. As promised, bawat factoring technique natin, bawat factoring method natin, sisingitan natin ng factoring by grouping. Okay, so in this case, we have a cubed minus y cubed plus a squared minus 2ay plus y squared. What will be the factor? Kung mapapansin nyo po, si a walang y, si y walang a, si a squared walang y, si y squared walang a. It gives us a hint na wala tayong may lalabas na wala tayong may lalabas na GCMF agad-agad. Kung i-group natin to ng sabay-sabay or i-group lang natin siya as one term. So it also give us a hint na baka mag-grouping tayo dito. So we will group this, we'll try to group that, and we'll try to group this, and then let's see kung meron tayong magiging GCMF na quantity later on. So tingnan natin. In this case, this is a cubed minus y cubed. It follows what technique? That pertains to the difference of two cubes. So the factor will be a minus y times a squared plus ay plus y squared. Plus, ito, wag natin kalimutan, plus, yan kasi yung madalas na nakakalimutan ng mga learners natin, kala nila product of two quantities. Okay. So, wag na natin kakalimutan yung operation sa gitna. What will be the factor of this expression? So, it seems that this expression here is a perfect square trinomial. So, the factor will be simply a minus y times another quantity which is a minus y. In this manner, makikita nyo na agad yung common quantity. So, since may napapansin tayong common quantity, pwede tayong mag-GCMF. Ayan. So, we will group this. Tapos, let us determine that common quantity. That common quantity is a minus y. Ilalabas natin yan sa pinakalabas. So, that would be a minus y times the quantity a squared plus ay plus y squared. Plus, kasi may naiwan pa sa loob, that is a minus y. The last thing that we are going to do is to remove the grouping symbols. So that would be a minus y. Tatanggalin natin yung grouping symbol sa loob. So, what is this? Since positive naman siya, safe na tanggalin yung mga grouping symbol. That is also the same as a squared plus ay plus y squared plus a minus y. Okay, so sa tingin ko, wala naman siyang mga similar terms. A squared is unique, ay is unique, y squared is unique, the same with a and negative y. They are unique terms, therefore, ito na yung final answer. So the factor of a cubed minus y cubed plus a squared minus 2ay plus y squared is the quantity a minus y times the quantity a squared plus ay plus y squared plus a minus y. So on the next examples that we are going to have, we're going to tell which of the following is a perfect square or not. Pag perfect square siya, lalagay natin yung factor niya. Pag hindi naman, pag not factorable siya, we'll just put not. Okay? So let us try the first example. 4 minus 4b plus b squared. Again, Para malaman natin kung perfect square siya, all we have to do is to get the square root of the first term, 2, and get the square root of the last term, b. The square root of 4 is 2, the square root of b squared is b, times 2 pa. Okay? Huwag nyo kalimutan na, kasi may constant lagi yan at 2, times 2 pa. So that is equivalent to 4b. Tapos check natin kung siya yung middle term. Okay, so in this case, siya nga yung middle term. Therefore, the expression 4 minus 4b plus b squared is a perfect square trinomial. So what will be the factor? The factor will be simply as the square root of the first term, 2, minus, kasi minus yung middle term, the square root of the last term will be b, or the quantity 2 minus b squared. That is also the same as the quantity 2 minus b times the quantity 2 minus b, mga langga. Ganun na. Okay. So, tingnan natin kung tama tayo. Tama yung factor natin. Ayun, so tama tayo. Okay, next. Is this trinomial a perfect square trinomial? So, let's try. The square root of the first term is d. The square root of the second term is e. Times 2, that will be 2de. Check natin kung yun. Okay, so yun nga yung middle term, ano? Since yun yung middle term natin, d squared minus 2de plus e squared is a perfect square trinomial. So, ang gagawin na lang natin, ipa-factor natin siya using the method. Again, pinakamadaling task na natin is kung paano siya ipa-factor. All we have to do is to get the square root of the first term and square root of the last term. So, that will be d minus e. Ganyan. Okay, check nga natin kung tama yung ating factor. Okay, so that is d minus, or the quantity d minus e squared. Okay, so let's try the next example. G squared plus 4gh plus h squared. Again, the square root of the first term is g, and the square root of the second term is h, times 2, that is 2gh. Oh, 2gh, pero yung gitna niya is 4gh. So, therefore, it is not a perfect square. Subukan natin kung tama tayo. Okay, so it's really not a perfect square. Hindi natin siya mapa-factor, especially using this technique. Okay, we'll proceed to the next example. 25l squared minus 10l plus 4 squared. O 4 squared pa good. So, subukan nga natin. What is the square root of the first term? That is 5l times, what is the square root of 4 squared? That is 4 times 2, that is 5 times 4, 20 times 2, 40. 40l. So, kailangan yung middle term niya is 40l para maging factorable siya. So, maybe this is not factorable. Check natin kung tama tayo. Okay, so not nga, no? Okay, the next term, 9 over 16m squared minus 3 halves m plus 1. So, the square root of the first term is 3/4 m times, the square root of the last term is just 1 times 2. And remember, if you are dealing with fraction, meron tayong ditong over 1 pero hindi na sinusulat. And then the rule says, numerator times the numerator, denominator times the denominator. Or simply, we will just simplify the expression. The common factor between the numerator 2 and the denominator 4 is 2. So we'll cancel, We'll cancel. What is left here is 2. So therefore, that is 3 halves m. Check natin kung yun nga yung middle term. Okay, so yun nga yung middle term, So therefore, this is a perfect square trinomial. What will be the factor? That will be 3/4 m minus 1 or the quantity 3/4 m minus 1 squared. Subukan nga natin kung tama tayo. Okay, so 3/4 m minus 1 squared. Okay, how about 4c squared plus 6c plus 9? Is it a perfect square? Again, what is the square root of 4c squared? That is 2c. What is the square root of the last term? That is 3 times 2. That will be 2 times 2 is 4 times 3. That will be 12. C. Paano yun? 6C lang yung nasa gitna. So, this will be not. Subukan nga natin. Okay, so it's not. Kulang, ano? Okay, let us try the next example. 16f to the 4th minus 24f squared plus 9. So, what is this? What the square root of the first term is 4f squared. The square root of the last term is 3 times 2. That will be 4 times 2 is 8 times 3 is 24. 24f squared. So is this a perfect square trinomial? Let's see. Okay, so it is a perfect square trinomial because of the middle term. Nagja-jive siya doon sa ating checking, method of checking. So therefore, the factor will be 4f squared minus 3, or the quantity 4f squared minus 3 squared. So check natin kung tama tayo. Okay, 4f squared minus 3 squared. The last but not the least is 4 minus 4b minus b. So again, i-check uli natin kung perfect square siya. The square root of 4 is 2. The square root of b squared is b. Times 2 natin pa. Times 2 pa natin. That is 4b. But wait. Wait lang. Oo, 4b nga yung middle term. Tama tayo. 4b yung middle term. Can we say that this is a perfect square trinomial? Hindi po. Because yung operation sa third term or sa last term is negative. And since it should be positive, it should be positive for this trinomial to become a perfect square trinomial. So the answer is not. Subukan nga natin. Tama tayo. So it's not. Now, I prepared an exercise for you to answer at home. This will serve as your home quiz. I want you to factor the following using the method under perfect square trinomial or the perfect square trinomial technique. Okay. So number 1, number 2, number 3 are easy. Meron pa yan, ha? Number 4 will be the challenge round. You're going to factor this employing the technique under the perfect square trinomial. But first, huwag niyo kalimutan to check and always double check if these following terms are perfect square trinomials. So at this point in time, na-open nyo na po yung ating home quiz. And I hope you were able to follow the instruction and you were able to factor the following problems using the technique under perfect square trinomial. Ngayon, ang gagawin naman natin, pag-aaralan naman natin as to how do we relate the concept of perfect square trinomial on areas of what is this? Plane figures. Okay. So, subukan natin. In this particular activity, we are going to get a large square paper and draw a medium square and a small square as shown in figure 1. So, ganito, kukuha tayo ng square na papel or crepe paper or construction paper And then we're going to, what's this? We're going to divide the square paper into several parts. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to make one small square as shown in figure 2. Ito po yun, yung small square. Gagawa tayo ng 2 congruent rectangles. Ito po yun. And then we're going to make one larger square. Ito po yun. So, pagkatapos nating gawin yun sa ating small piece of square paper, we're going to label the sides of those figures. So let's say this is, so for figure 3, etong dalawang rectangle, we're going to label that one of the side as A and the other side as B. Pag maikli, yung side B. Pag mahaba, A. Okay? So in this case, if you have this kind of figure, this is also A. This side is also A up to this side. This is also A. Ito naman, this is the length of this side. Ito, yung length nito is B as well as this. This is also B. Yung haba nito is B as well as this. In the same manner, yung haba nito is B. At saka yung haba nito is B. This is A, this is A, this is A, the B, B, you have their B. Where else? O, dito meron tayong B. Yung haba nito, ganito kahaba, pag pinagputol-putol natin ito mamaya, the length of that is B as well as in this, on this figure. Okay, so pagka nagawa na natin yun, we are now going to answer the following question. What is the total length on one side of the large square in terms of A and B? Take note, yung buong papel natin is a square paper, di ba? Buong papel siya, square siya. O kung lote man to, kung lote to, tapos hinati to sa ganitong paraan, yung buong lote, tandaan nyo lagi, square siya. So, what is the total length? What will be the total length? Remember that this is A and this is B. Yung haba nito is B, yung haba naman nito is A. So, sa tingin nyo, ano kaya yung kanyang total length? The total length is simply A plus B. Now, let us try to answer letter B. So, again, yung total length niya is A plus B. Now, on letter B, what is the total area of the large square in terms of lengths A and B? So, if the length or one side is A plus B, or the quantity A plus B, yun yung haba ng isa sa mga side niya. And for all we know, area from elementary, we know that area of a square is equivalent to S squared. So therefore, the area of this large square, itong malaking square na to, will be A plus B squared. So the area of this large square, yung pinagsama-samang area ni 1, area ni 2, area ni 3, tsaka yan, yung dalawang rectangles, isang maliit na square at saka isang malaking square. Pag pinagsama-sama natin, ang area niya is A plus B squared. A plus B squared. Okay. Ngayon naman, ang gagawin naman natin, hati-hatiin natin, hati-hatiin na natin yung papel into several sections. So, we're going to label all the sides in this manner. Pagkatapos nating lagyan ng labels, hati-hatiin na natin sila using scissors. So, I hope mapatulong kayo sa inyo, sa mas nakakatanda sa inyo, no? In dividing or cutting these several parts para hindi kayo masugatan. Okay? So, on the first part, we have etong pinaka number 1 natin, or figure 1. O, kanina kasi magkakasama pa yan. So, nung hinati-hati natin, you must have the following figures. Una, figure 1, yung larger square. Figure 2, siya yung small square. Tsaka dapat magkaroon ka ng dalawang rectangles na pareho yung dimensions. Now, the question for letter C is, what is the area of the medium square in terms of A? Ito po yun. Ang tinatanong ito, ano yung kanyang area? So, since the side of that small square, or that medium square, sorry, since the sides of that medium square is A, so therefore, the area of figure 1 will be A squared. O saan natin nakuha yan? That is from the area of squares, which is S squared. Since wala naman ang banggit na sukat, so we'll just denote it as A. Now, question letter D. What is the area of the small square in terms of B? Okay, so the area of figure 2 will be simply B squared. The same with first figure, A squared. Ang pinakaiba lang niya kasi yung dimension ni figure 2 is B. So therefore, the area is B times B, or B squared. And then, the last but not the least is the area of figure 3. So what will be the area? Sagutin natin yung tanong dito. What is the area of one of the rectangles in terms of A and B? So ano daw yung area nung isa sa mga rectangles? So again, the area for figure 3 is equivalent to, since it is a rectangle, that is also equivalent to length times width. And in this case, since the dimensions are A and B respectively with the length and width, therefore, that is also A times B, or AB. So we have this areas of those separate figures. We have A squared, B squared, and for one rectangle alone, we have AB. If syempre, di ba dalawa siya? So that is simply 2 times the area of figure 3. That is also equivalent to 2AB. So, nasagutan na natin dito yung letter E. We will proceed to letter F. What is the total area of the two congruent rectangles in terms of A and B? So, nasabi ko na yan kanina, no? Since the area of one rectangle is for figure 3, that is equivalent to AB, dalawang rectangles or dalawang figure 3, dalawang area ng figure 3, that is also equivalent to 2AB. Okay. Now, how are we going to express the area of these three figures pagka pinagsama-sama natin sila? Okay, so again, the area will be, so balikan lang natin, o yan, you have A squared, we have B squared, and you have 2AB. Pag pinagsama-sama natin sila, that will be A squared plus B squared plus 2AB. Now, the last question will be, using our previous expression, what relationship could we establish? Okay. So, remember, na yung area kanina, kung mapapansin nyo po, ito lang, Yung area kanina is A plus B squared. Yung total area. Ano po? Yung kabuuan. Transfer lang natin dito, ano? So, the total area is equivalent to the quantity A plus B squared. That's it. At yung pinagsama-samang area, which is figure 1 plus area of figure 2 plus yung area nung figure 3 pero dalawa sila, that is 2 area 3, that is equivalent to A squared plus B squared plus 2AB. So, anong masasabi natin sa total area at saka yung pinagsama-samang area ng mga components? Diba they are equal? Oh, they are just equal. Kasi pinaghati-hati lang naman natin yung mga squares na maliliit na yun, diba? Tsaka yung rectangles. Kanina buo sila, tapos dinivide lang natin into several sections. So, therefore, they are equal. So, to simply state, we can say that the total area is equivalent to area 1 plus area 2 plus 2 times the area of figure 3. And let us substitute the following values. Let us try to substitute. That is also equivalent to A plus B squared is equivalent to A squared plus B squared plus 2AB. Oh, so medyo magulo pa, no? So we will arrange. I-arrange natin siya ng mas maganda. So that is also the same as the quantity A plus B squared is also equivalent to A squared plus 2AB plus B squared. Okay, so ito po yung relationship natin that pertains to what? The perfect square trinomial. Okay. I hope nakuha nyo, naintindihan nyo yung explanation natin about perfect square trinomial and how do we relate this concept to areas of plane figures, especially when we relate these to lots. So later on, I hope kayo naman yung magsusolve for A minus B squared is equivalent to A squared minus 2AB plus B squared. So ito naman yung inyong assignment.